Again, even more excited to have such a phenomenal panel with me today. We've got Beverly Glazer here for the umpteenth time. And we've got a new, wonderful individual, EPEC Williamson, with us. Thank you for being here. The word of the day is change. It's the Hour and Power LinkedIn Live. We depend on your comments, thoughts, whatever you have, even more importantly, triumphs that you could share with us. This is a great time to get your arms around the word change for yourself. We'd love to hear what your definition or interest is in it. And it's amazing when we start off at a base level of what change means to us, how it blossoms and grows by the end to really give it a lot more context and value. So, with that, before the chat starts rolling through, and it always does, thank you very much. I'll turn it over to Beverly. Beverly can give you a little bit of a Beverly, what's been going on, and what her initial thoughts on change is.
Wow. Well, my first thought, Donald, is when EPAC mentioned that the word was change and I thought it was training. I said, oh
It was.
no. And then she contacted you and you changed that. So we can start just with that because I love the word change and training, not so much.
Mhm.
And
Okay, I
so
could tell that's why we changed.
change, you changed it. Yes. Yep. For the better.
Oh,
Change usually
absolutely.
does, right? Yeah, absolutely. So, oh, change is a constant. And when I was thinking of the show and I was thinking of the word change, thank you, EPEC,
Mhm.
I was thinking, well, what am I going to talk about? Well, I'm never at a loss for talking and never at a loss for talking about change because change is really what I do. I've been changing people's lives for over 30 years. I'm called a change agent. My site is Reinvent Impossible. And you know what? When we're hit with a brick, it's like, oh my gosh, it's impossible to get out. I'm stuck.
Mm.
And we all have that. We all get this wake up call, and it can come in business, and it can come in life, and it can come in relationships, and it can come everywhere where you're just hit with that wake up call and you say, where do I go next? Like, what's there? And so sometimes Mr. Wonderful walks out, and he was never that wonderful in the first place, but you know what? You knew what you had. And now you have to do something, you have to change. Or maybe it's a job loss, and maybe you're over 50 and you've been trying and people say you're too old or you're not good enough and you're not smart enough. And so whatever the wake up call is, sometimes everything is fine, but you're saying, it's not so fine, I don't know why. And that's where change comes in. It's like something has to give. And Leslie Flowers said it yesterday. You're never stuck. We always have an option and we can always change, but it's scary stuff sometimes. And so I can go on, but I'm going to pass this to you now. Ifek, what do you have to say?
Well, thank you for this really beautiful intro. And I so agree with you, everything you said, Beverly. And I call myself a change champion. And I love to work with people who are going through change, major change in their lives. As you said, like relationships, job, careers, and retiring, bringing a new life into life, uh, and any kind of change in life. And I see change as a possibility, opportunity, anything that comes with change is so beautiful to me. Like the some pain comes with change for sure, and it's scary, but the I think that it's important to embrace change as a natural part of life and personal growth. And I see life as a symphony of seasons. You know, embracing change is like appreciating the beauty of the ever changing seasons in nature. Just as each season has its unique charm, personal growth and adaptability to change like bring a symphony of experiences and opportunities. My one of my bosses when I was an executive assistant in my previous life, before I turned into becoming a coach and meditation teacher. Uh, he, he always said, the only constant in life is change. So everything needs to change, meant to change, and it's only normal. So when we start seeing change as our motivator to learn from it, to adapt and go with it, it only gives us resilience and more strength. So I really love helping people do that in their lives. Either go through it with flying colors because they start to look at change happening in their lives from a totally different perspective rather than with fear and worries, with excitement and impatience, a kind of like energy. And also people who want to make a change and they feel stuck, as you said, Beverly, they feel stuck, they want to do that change, but they don't feel ready, or they don't feel strong enough, they don't feel resilient enough. So I love to give them a nudge and explore the possibilities if they go for that change. So it's so empowering.
Well, that's great. I think we're off to a good start. I think that everybody really thought a little deeper today about what change is and what it can be. I typically look, it's like the half full, half empty glass. I love change. I try to create change. Change gives me a reason to be curious as to what's going to happen next, and if you're happy where you are, you won't be where you are very long because things will change around you and underneath you. So
Mhm.
change is not something you settle on. You don't decide, time waits for no one and you can't wait for time. And I think if change is like, I can't wait, right? If someone is not happy where they live and someone says, I'm going to be moving to a new house,
Yeah.
that's a positive change. And the change you make for yourself is the ones that you create for yourself. Why not create change instead of waiting for it? Whatever you're waiting for will come when it's supposed to come, or not at all, where you could just get going yourself and help the change in others. Because, again, you can't deny it, you can't hold back from it. You can resist it, but what are you resisting and for how long? And I think that's the key to positivity and having a belief. They say faith is the belief in the invisible. Sometimes with change, you got to believe in things you don't know and haven't seen yet. But it's also expectation too, and anticipation that can make the change even easier. But before we turn it over, let's make sure we cover these wonderful people in the audience. So
Yeah.
we've got Harvey here today. Actually, I just was on the phone this morning with Harvey. Had a great talk. OG is here. Thank you so much. Here's a new face and new name. Joseph, happy to see you. Thank you for coming. Ashif is another Canadian, I think up around Toronto. He's always great for comments and quotes. Just a really great supporter. Kinga's here. Kinga's just been unbelievable since she's been a regular here and brings so much value, and definitely use this opportunity to reach out to these quality, fine people who are supporting each other and the show. Danny's here, gentleman from England. We got Harvey and Danny from England, and we got all these Canadians. Is anybody in America watching? Interested to see where this discussion goes. Danny says, Harvey comes back with, I liked it, a symphony of seasons. I kind of like that too. Live life is like a garden. Ashif comes back and says, something old must go, let something new in. You know, every ending is a new beginning. And people only know an ending because that's all they know and that's where they've been, but they haven't had the benefit to see where they're going to be and how that's going to change. And, you know, everything's a continuum, not an outcome. Good morning, Renadeb says. He's been here every day. Ambambola's calling in from Nigeria. Wonderful lady. Get to know her. Erharan's out in Israel. Hi, everyone. I have to listen to another call. Sorry, we'll check later. This is taped. You can always come back and watch it when it's convenient. Joseph, actually, this time to share this morning. Renadeb has a definition that says change is quite difficult for each individual to accomplish, and it depends on their thinking.
Yeah.
Accordingly, they will take the necessary actions to get the results which they desire. Harvey comes back with, every time something changes is an opportunity to learn and expand, to improve. Every change has several ways to look at it with positive eyes, and that's exactly what Harvey is. Harvey always sees the best in people, expects the best. Dean is here. Dean's out there in Texas. We finally got somebody from the USA. Thank you, Dean. Kristen's here. Kristen was on the show last week with Kelly. Did just a wonderful job. Joseph is doing okay with Harvey. Leslie Flowers is here, who was our guest host yesterday. We kind of hit it out of the park. Beautiful EPEC and Beverly and Donald too. Good morning. Joseph says, I'm watching from Kenya. Gosh, we got the whole United Nations here today. With that said, Beverly, what's your thoughts?
I'm going to go into what Renadeb said, which was change is quite difficult for each individual to accomplish, and it depends upon their thinking. And this is really true. Some people like you, Donald, and myself, and probably you as well, EPEC, it's like to embrace change. But
Yeah.
some people don't think like that. Just as Renadeb said, it depends on our thinking strategies. Some people really have difficulty and they hold on. They hold on to the past and they hold on to the memory. And the memory can bring them down and they can be really stuck and not, and it takes a long, long time to accept the change. And this is where you and I come in, and other people too. There's, you know, where you can give people the strength and understanding that everything that you have, everything, all your strengths are within you. And you can, everyone has the ability to be able to learn and grow. And it's personal growth, it's getting better through the changes that we make. And not to fear the new, to embrace it. There's always something good. And there's always something wonderful to keep from the past and something to move forward with. And when we move on, that's the personal growth. That's the expansion. And not to fear it, just to continue to embrace it and move on, because that's life. Like you said, life is filled with changes. So, yes.
Yeah. I so agree with you. And it's all about perspective. You know, when you look at change as something scary and something that will move you out of your comfort zone, it's difficult to go with it. But when you look at it as something really positive, something that that's filled with possibilities, opportunities that might change your life in a much positive direction. So yes, it's scary, yet yes, it's intimidating at times, but there was one thing he mentioned there. Let me go to his, yeah, change is quite difficult. Accordingly, they will take the necessary actions to get the results which they desire. The key word there is action. That's the fear of changing the status quo uh, puts us in a stuck space where we refrain from taking action. That's something that I try to remove from my clients' lives or way of life, because we can be the best at anything. We can have great ideas, great knowledge, background, but we don't, if we don't act, and if we don't do anything about putting it in work, in life, then what's the purpose? So action, taking action. And also one more thing that I really liked, I think Ashif said, something old must go to let something new in. So we need to embrace change so that we make room, like we leave where we were, we leave it behind so that we can create room for something new, something exciting, something invigorating in our lives. So change is like change is similar to a butterfly breaking free from its cocoon. The struggle may be challenging, but it's essential for transformation. If you help a cocoon, if you help opening the cocoon before it's ready, that will not become a strong butterfly. You need to go through those challenges, hard times yourself, and come to a point where now you are ready to fly like a butterfly.
Well, that's an important distinction.
Yeah.
And I believe it is because there's timing to change, there's integration of change.
Yeah.
You know, how do you make it fit? How do you fit to it? You know, so how are you staying aligned when you gave something up? Did you pick something up that was better, that is more valuable, is more powerful? Or do you have to continue to adjust that change? You know, everything you get is like clay, and then it's how you form it. And then looking back is much better than looking forward because there's a cycle to the change, right? You put a cake in the oven, in 2 minutes, it's not going to be baked. And if you think it's going to get baked, you're going to have a pretty bad cake to eat and be very disappointed. But if someone says, hey, give it an hour, come back to it. And I think that's another thing about change. Some things cannot be accommodated as easily or as quickly as everybody would like. I mean, if someone suffers a severe loss, people have to realize this could be a lifetime challenge or opportunity. And I can't deal with it overnight or in one day. And why should I think that? And here's another thing, change should come at your pace of acceptance. It's like someone leaves a package at your door. You have a choice when you open the door and get the package. You might just say, I'll get it tomorrow. I'm not ready for it today. And if you have control over yourself, at least, when change shows up, now it's a compliment, hopefully. You know, or it's like looking at a piece of meat and then someone says, I can make something out of this, right? And then someone else says, it's a big piece of meat. I don't know what to do with it. And I think that's why I have a sense of humor with change. Even during the worst times, if you can laugh at it, just out of curiosity. And like I say, when I changed frustration into fascination, when I change that lens, it would be like, how could this possibly happen? Or why am I so lucky to get this to happen? And, you can laugh at that and still come back to it. And, people, there's energy to everything. And every change brings a certain amount of energy. It could be positive or negative, but it's how you filter that, right? Air is clean and dirty depending on how you filter it. And the same thing with change. And then sometimes you got to ask why. Where did this come from? Who was responsible for this? I need to learn more, right? I need some directions here, and how do I find that? And then it's a journey instead of already starting at a destination. So, Beverly, what's your new thoughts?
Well, there's all kinds. There's all kinds, Donald. I'm staying focused because I see some wonderful comments in the chat.
Choose one if
Oh,
one.
I'm going to go with, but as well as everything that you've said, but I'm going to switch gears a bit because King is bringing in something that I think is terrific. She's saying change is coming. With AI, economy, things can't stop. It's an opportunity. By 2027, the projection for the US is that of 50%, 57% of individuals plan to be self employed. That's a huge change. And when ChatGPT, I don't have to tell you, hit everything in January, I think it was March or so, I embraced that and started to learn and started to understand prompting, and it's my absolute best assistant. And I look at it as an assistant. I do not look at it as it can do everything. And I know a lot of people were saying, oh no, the end of the world is coming. And as ChatGPT is just one, I use AI, different tools for all kinds of things. And they help us so much if we embrace things rather than immediately reject it. And that's with everything. When there is change, the first reaction is no, I don't think so. I'm skeptical. It's not going to work. And we have to say there's good and bad in everything. Like there are people that just say, I don't want to have anything to do with social media. I mean, nothing to do with social media. There's good and bad. Others would say it's all sales. Who knows? You use technology, you use change to your advantage. And you don't have to embrace it all. But I don't have to know how to drive a car. As a matter of fact, pretty soon no one will have to know how to drive a car. It's like it's change. And embrace it. That's how I look at change. Don't fear it. Take baby steps. If you're the kind of person that says, no, I'm fearful, I'm not sure, don't jump right in. Do what's right for you. And change takes time. It's like wanting to flip a switch and be a different person. I'm on a diet. That's why gym memberships go on up in January. And by March, it's gone. Why? We go back to our old behavior. Habits take time. Change takes time. It takes 90 days. Hear it, people. 90 days to change a habit. And it's not going to be all like that. You're going to have dips. And if you get discouraged, what happens? Don't quit. Go right back on the horse. And then as it happens, your brain, your mind, your emotions come together, everything changes. And you can be okay. That's with any transition. Baby steps. And then when you own it, wow, you embrace it, you change. And it's okay. But don't fear it. Back to you.
Yeah, yes. Also, you mentioned AI and ChatGPT. When we look back, the successful people are in general the ones who go and adapt change that comes in life, in professional life, personal life, but the ones who embrace that and see it as an opportunity to learn and grow, they always come out with something that helps them grow. So instead of being skeptical on things, always looking at, okay, given the situation, given that this is a fact of life, how can I learn from it? How can I use it to benefit what I am putting out to the world? How could it support my work? And how can I be more in service to others using that? So I always look at change from that perspective. Okay, there are things that I can control, and there are things that I cannot control. And that's like COVID. COVID happened. Could we control any of it? No. But we looked at it. Okay, what are the pluses? What are the minuses? And how can I grow the pluses and use it, take it in, so that I come out of this stronger. Um, a phoenix rises from ashes, right? So change holds the power of rebirth, much like a phoenix rising from its ashes. I For a long time, I am the phoenix was my one of my hashtags on social media, especially during COVID, um, because it symbolized, like, it was a message to myself. Like every time I used that or I saw that, I felt like, hmm, i am I am doing this, I am changing, and I am growing, because I am the phoenix. Whatever comes my way is coming for me, not to me, not to kick me, but to for me to grow with it, learn from it. So I believe that I came out from COVID era stronger, with a much robust practice, with a much better image and like reputation. Why? Because I use that time to learn, to take training, to grow in my work, so that it now pays off. So change is Seth Godin, actually, the actor Seth Godin says, change is not a threat, it's an opportunity, and survival is not the goal. Transformative success is. And I so agree with him.
Well,
So
that's
Kinga also says, you are either growing or decaying. It's so true. The ones who stop changing and growing, at some point, like a rusty, you get rusty.
yeah. Well, I think in addition to all that, we're so focused on change that happens to us versus change that we make happen. And while Beverly was talking about Chat GPT, I always owned my own businesses and was CEO. I had one job when I was 15. And to stay in business 37 years, you had to reinvent yourself about every 5 years. And you had to start your reinvention the day you just began your next one, knowing in 5 years it was going to have to get replaced by something better. I remember when the fax machine came out. I remember when cell phones came out, and whoever embraced them first. And that was always my competitive advantage. I had IBM registers before anybody had them, and they were $14,000 a register. And when you got 10 stores with it's a big investment, but when you can get 2 days more information, better information ahead of everybody else, what is that worth? When I saw Chat GPT, I'm always interested in understanding what the change is, whether I adapt it or wait for it or forget about it. But when I started to understand that if I was a comedian, having 100 writers at my disposal to share what I have and say, what do you got to beautify it? What do you have to optimize it? What do you have to add emojis to it? I mean, who is smart enough or wants to? And not only that, when you take LinkedIn Live, which is a new technology that hardly anybody knows exists, there's 970 million people on LinkedIn registered. There's only 36,000 newsletters. If there's 1,000 LinkedIn Lives, I don't know where they're at because I'm here every day and everybody I know either has one or doesn't. So we are so small relative to the ocean we're in. And if you added ChatGPT to this, and then just launching my new collaboration group where people meet by plan instead of accident, have collaboration, there's competitive advantages in creating competitive advantages from what's out there and constructing your better mousetrap for yourself, because you can't teach what you haven't learned. And the next step is teaching how to teach, right? So if you can get to that point, and everybody's goal is to be one with many. 1 hour with 100 is better than 10 hours with one, right? For everybody's benefit, knowledge share, community, support, because everybody can also take inventory and say, what changes haven't happened to me that's happened to other people? How have they grown and I've stayed still? And only through talking to those people who say, I know how you feel, I felt the same way, and then I figured this out. Or someone told me something and now it opened this door, and it can open your door. So change married to hope is excitement. You know what I mean? When not only are you getting change, but you know what it could do. You know, we just got a condo in Florida. You know, you can always tell, hey, what your January is going to start looking like in the future. Those are the things. So change is dynamic. You're dynamic. If you can marry two dynamics and then add other elements that you like, you can really bake the cake that's going to be delicious and shareable for a long time. So let me go back to the people. Dennis, change is good. If you're green, you're growing. If you're ripe, you're rotting. Keep growing and knowing. Kinga says, I think we just mentioned this, you're either growing or decaying. Sheaf comes back with change is not linear or linear. Ambambola comes back with whenever a change occurs, the best approach is to embrace it, learn to adapt to it, take advantage of it to improve yourself. Though experience change is hard, it aids one growth. Well, some things take some work. Something takes longer, costs more. But knowing the sooner you get over that is when you're getting the benefits from it. And sometimes the change has to happen within yourself. You know, they say for things to change, you need to change. You know, not very much is going to change around you until you put out that energy to the universe, right? Kinga is very prodigious today. I just did a post on building your reputation quickly on LinkedIn. Here it is. Well, great. And I think, you know, everybody who has information can help each other, should help each other. I mean, why not? Agree to be trusty, growing, not rusty. Well, we got Dennis, our poet, off on a tear here. You're afloat in the ocean. I think there was one that was up here. Maria's here. Maria says, all change starts with chaos. Chaos is a beautiful thing, or can be. Kinga says, just like how the LinkedIn algorithm changes all the time and people get freaked out, we can't stop that. Also, stay true to who you are. Stay curious, though. And that's so important. You know, what's old is new again, usually. And also, some things are to your liking. You know, some things could be better in some ways, but not something you're looking for right now. You know, it depends on what your priorities are, what your situations are. Beverly, what can you add to all this?
I was caught up in the discussion, which is great, and it's all interesting, and it's all about change, no question. Um, I keep on going back, not to fear, that ultimately there is growth in change. And I'm sorry, I forgot who mentioned chaos. Um, when you're in chaos, when you're in overwhelm, that means you're unable. That means you don't know what to do. There's too much coming at you, chaos. But as soon as things die down, and that's where it doesn't last forever, thank goodness. But when you're in the midst of it, you think it does. And as soon as there is a calm, that calm after the storm, that's where you can make those changes. And to your point, when you were saying, Epak, that, COVID, when everybody was going crazy, I closed my office like everyone else. And then literally, I was so ready because I was already talking to people online and I was already coaching. And it gave me the opportunity to take courses, to take trainings, to move on and to pivot. And whether it's COVID 19 and hopefully never again in my lifetime, nor yours, or whatever it is, there's opportunity and growth in everything we do. And when we're in the chaos, we don't see it. And that's where we have to start looking back. And you see that you've made changes. We've all made changes because we've hit a wall somewhere. Something did not work out. Nothing changes if everything is fine. We're okay with that. We need that wall to stop us. And that lets us see, okay, my journey is not complete. I have to move on. What's next? And that's where you grip and move on to the future. So change provides opportunity, and we don't know what's next. We never do. And that's the scary part. But what we do know is our own personal journey, and that's our growth. And we have to accept it. It's not over till it's over. You just keep on moving on. And I'm passing
It's
that
so true.
now to you, Epak.
Yes, yes. So I wanna give a little bit of background about my life story because why I'm so passionate about the topic of change and why do I want to help people going through that, because I had all kinds of change in my life. I moved from one country to the other. I was born in Turkey and I lived until 35. I lived in Turkey and then I moved to Canada. I I went through a divorce, so that was a big change. And then I married to a Canadian, and he came with two sons. So it was a two family coming together. Another huge change. Then I changed my career. I left my career as an executive assistant for over 20 years and started a brand new career as a meditation teacher, coach, author, and speaker. That was one. And then I moved. Also, me and my husband, we moved to another city. So change is constant in life. And when I look back, every big change that happened in my life made me stronger, made me more proud of myself for being able to get through that and still standing strong. And I feel like change, navigating through change is like sailing on uncharted waters where the destination is uncertain, or what if like a storm just might start all of a sudden. It requires courage, adaptability, resilience to face the unknown and find new paths. For example, when I got divorced, my ex-husband went back to Turkey, and I stayed with my son. And it was so scary for me to stay in a country where I don't know anybody, I don't have any family, any support system. it was a real uncertainty for me, and I didn't know how long I could be able to afford a life in Canada. But I trusted that I have all the good intentions. I want a good future for my son here. So I will stay. I will stay. And I'm so glad I did. Like then I created a new life with my new husband, and my son finished university and graduated as a mechanical engineer. Now he has his own life. He lives in Toronto. So I'm so glad I went for it. But I could have said, "Oh my God, I can't do this. I'm all by myself. It's a big change. I can't handle it by myself. I'm going back to Turkey, so because I need my family's support or whatever." I could have said that, but I said to myself, I can do it. My motto in life is, if one person could do something, I can do too. And I bet I was not the first woman, first single mother staying in another country with their children because they want to give them a better uh, future. And many, many, many others did it. So I did too.
Well, that's so beautiful. And, everybody wants to hear your story, not your facts. They say stories sell, facts tell. And
Mm.
the other aspect of it is sometimes if you're really strong and really persevere, you need to get knocked off a horse sometimes to get off the horse. And I found so many times I would have never done what just happened to me, but what happened to me allowed me to do what I would have never done. And that's so important is, I used to do some turnarounds and restructurings, go into companies and clean them up and get them back into shape. And what I realized is that there's a time and a purpose for everything. And sometimes people forget that and they drag legacy into the future with them. And the saying I would always have is, if you wouldn't buy it, you should sell it. If you wouldn't hire it, you should eliminate it. Right? Knowing what you know now, if this person came in, would you have this person? If the answer is no, then why do you keep them? If you find a piece of machinery you spent a lot of money for and you're not using it, would you buy it again? If the answer is no, then sell it. Get the money, repurpose it. Time is all we have, and it's how you spend your time. If time was unlimited, change could take forever and you'd have forever, right? But since you only have so much time and you really have to fast forward things, like, okay, if I do this for 30 more days, like a diet, right? If I eat so little, in 30 days, I'll be a lot thinner. If I exercise more, that'll help more. And what it says is everything you do either takes you closer to your goal or further away, right? What you eat, how you exercise, who you're with. And I think people who see other people embracing change, enjoying change, sharing change, supporting change, that's the group you want to be with, because no one should have to do it by themselves. Challenges because, well, that's my situation. I need to work with it. Yeah, if it stays your situation. But if you've got too heavy a load and someone says, hey, do you got a minute to help me out here? Can you pick up some of this and get me where I need to be? That's what we can do collaboratively. What happens universally is going to happen. What happens individually and collectively is what we create to happen. And people helping each other, peer-to-peer, decentralized opportunities are taking over versus institutional, organizational. It's too slow. It's not very efficient. And now with ChatGPT, with LinkedIn Live, with all these vowels that you never had before that can help you solve the puzzle, how are you using it? There's so much. And, we're one person and everybody talks linear. Well, if I had 3 more clients, if I had 6 of this, There's 970 million. All you got to do is yell, I'm here. Here's what I'm doing. LinkedIn never tells you how much you can do. The other day I posted 9 posts, I think, because I just had 9 things and I knocked them out. And we're very simple. Everything I do is very simple because that makes it easier to do. And it's very time efficient, which makes it easier to do. What's easy to do is easy not to do. And I think you have to make decisions. So with that, Beverly.
And with that, I'm bringing in Kinga again.
Okay.
Kinga, you've been putting in some really great stuff. Um, the old adage, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And she said, I've always been able to say that after getting through a hard time. And I'm glad you said that, Kinga, after getting through that hard time. I'm thinking personally, my huge wake up call was when I opened the door and was placed in my hand. Whoa, whoa. Okay. I was living my life. I was in grad school. I was taking care of my family. And I knew there was problems in my husband's company. It didn't affect me. I had nothing to do with business. I could not care less about what was going on in business. I was a creative person. I was that person that was studying in grad school. I was a mom. All kinds of things. I was on radio. All kinds of stuff that I loved doing creatively. And boom, hey, what happened here? Okay, why me? And that's only because I was the wife. And it was like $1 million fraud that was going on in the company. And of course, I was the wife. I had the house. The house was in my name. So we throw a net. And there I am involved in a crime. Well, in a case like this, we could have lost our marriage, that's for sure, because I was out to kill Jerry. Okay. Oh my gosh, he lived through that. And we survived that. Okay. And I was able to raise my daughters, and I was able to pull myself together. And actually, through his help, he said, just do what you have to do, continue grad school. And that's why I became a therapist for 30 years. And that's why I pivoted into coaching, because I understand that women, and I'm talking broad spectrum here, do a lot. Like you said, Ipek, you take care of your children. You take care also of your family. You take care of your husband. You take care of everything. And who takes care of us? I'm talking, like I say, broad, stereotyping, okay? But as we also get older, what also happens is we take care of our parents. And then there is this huge loss too. It's like, where am I in this picture? Who's taking care of me? And we have to learn to take care of ourselves, to understand money, to understand business. And I was hit, boy, I'm a quick learner. Let me tell you, Dawn, I learn fast. Okay. And the lawyer that I got said, are you sure you want to be a therapist? Maybe you should be a lawyer. Okay. Because wow, there's a great big world to learn, and you have to keep on learning, you have to keep on growing, you have to keep on changing. And looking back, like Kinga says, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Oh boy. Okay. I think all of us have that strength, each and every one of us. It's all inside us, but we have to be pushed. We have to have some kind of chaos. We have to have some kind of wake up call to say, you can do it, and darn it, get out there and do it and see. And if you fall on your face, that's okay too. Because so what? You can get up and start again and keep on going. And to your point too, Dawn, you have to have hope that you'll get out of it. Although through the thick of things, I was saying, Will this ever end? And you never think it will. But you know what? Everything ends. And like you said, we all think that we are so important. We are just these small little insular people in a bowl of millions and millions. And so, what? One LinkedIn Live in the face of how many? And how many people are on LinkedIn? Seriously? If you
Yeah.
fall on your face, will anyone remember tomorrow? No. And so I think everyone should embrace slowly if you're not hit, in which case, if you are hit, you can say, what do I do? And there's always somebody. Be surprised at how many people will come to your rescue. Just reach out and everyone
Yeah.
do it. You don't have to do drama. Please don't go. But you can share your point.
So I wanna tell you something about a palm tree. I don't know if you know. Have you ever noticed the beauty that lies within a palm tree? It stands tall in the sky, can bend with the wind, but never breaks. And palm trees actually benefit from storms. Being beaten down by hurricanes and other types of storms helps them make their trunks stronger and taller. So I always give this metaphor to my clients, and I tell them when things get difficult and you're not sure how to respond, see yourself as a palm tree. You can endure the storms and stand strong against the winds of change to grow stronger, taller, and more beautiful. So, how you think can play a significant part in how you feel and how resilient you are when faced with obstacles. Albert Einstein said, the world as we have created it is a process of our thinking. It cannot be changed without changing our thinking. So our thoughts create our reality. Uh, that's why when we think of something, let's not assume that it's a fact. Let's question our thinking. Like, is this true? Like, I really love the four questions of Byron Katie. She has that system. She asks for whatever thought you have that you come with to her. She says, is this true? I think that my husband doesn't love me. Ask yourself, is this true? um, Ask again, are you positive that is true? And who are you being with that thought? Who are you? What makes you this thought? And who would you be without the thought? So I really love that sequence of questioning. She calls it the work. And I really love using it for myself. And I suggest my clients use the same, because thoughts, we take our thoughts as facts when they are not most of the times, and that creates the limits that we put around ourselves,
Well,
but they are just thoughts.
yeah, I think that's great, and how we're evolving and blossoming from our initial thoughts of change. There's a saying: it's not how many times you fall down; it's how fast you get up. And you're going to keep getting fall. You're going to fall down. You're going to get pushed down. Things are going to happen, and they always will, and they always do. And the offset is coming in its own way. But I also understand, because I've been there. They say 75% of the people who sell their businesses on Friday, on Monday, either have seller's remorse or depression, right? Because the check cashed, but now your second family is not yours. Now you used to be what you did, and you were never a guy on the beach or in a golf course. And the hard thing
Mhm.
is being humbled, is losing your whatever it was that made you feel so good about stuff. And sometimes you take a hit and you do need to recover. You know, I mean, sometimes you just have to say, I'm going to give myself 3 weeks of nothing but taking care of myself. You know, I'm just going to eat and sleep and exercise. The other big thing that helped me in some of my challenges is other people. I found that the more people I could get around, thought about myself, the more people that I talked to who were going through what I went through or whatever, made me feel not alone. Because to Beverly's point, you think you're the only one. Like, how could this ever happen to you? When you thought everything was great and you were cool, and all you do is build. And then one day you find yourself on the other side and you realize there's different worlds out there. The people on the sidelines who used to play don't feel that good about everything else, and they don't know if they'll ever get back in the game. Sometimes you only catch a wave or two. What I love about this show and this opportunity is it's my third wave, but now I bring all my successes, my confidence to it, and see what we can build with it. So, whatever you had is yours. I used to always tell people who came to work for me, and I got up to 72 people actually under one roof. I said, it's not how much you make here, it's who you become here, right? What can you learn? What can you take with you? Where's your strength? Just like Beverly going back to school. Sometimes you need to go back because it's not coming to you. And, the thing they say about people who look for help are the healthiest people, not the sickest people, because they understand help could help them, that there's people that could help them. And they're making themselves accessible and available to them versus that old thing, I can handle it myself. I don't need any help. I can do this. And all you're doing is playing a game with yourself. And that's always the game, is between you and you. You determine what's good for you. You determine what kind of punishment you're going to give yourself. I always found everything is what it is. And then it's whatever you add to it for as long as you want to. You break a glass yesterday, it ain't going to get unbroken. And you could talk about how much it cost, who used to own it before you. And it's like, why? Why lose twice? You lost on the event. Now you're going to lose time, effort, and stress out about. And it's easy for someone to say, it's done, it's over. Yeah, well, it didn't mean everything in the world to you. And that's where certain things are not replaceable, but you need to figure out how it wouldn't stop you from being the best you can. And then the other thing, there's a lot of ego involved, and it's like, hey, are you going to allow people to worry about you when they could be thinking about themselves? You're not in this alone. And if you can't find reason to do things for you, can you find reason to do things for others until you get there? And that's where community comes in, is that feel, felt, found. I know how you feel. I felt exactly the same way. And then I found this group over here, or I found this product, or I found this book. Whatever it is, that's what you have to find, something to replace it. And the beauty of it, like Beverly says, and like EPEC had said so eloquently, from there, you can grow into something you would have never been able to do without it, and it's hard to thank adversity, for guiding you. But sometimes a big shakeup is the only thing that's going to change you, because you can handle the bumps on the road. You can make accommodations. People get comfortably uncomfortable and figure a way to live with it. So in closing, EPEC, this was your first time. What can you share about Change Now and your first time on the show?
Well, it's a beautiful conversation, and I hope everyone who were here with us enjoyed it, and I definitely enjoyed it very much. Thank you for the opportunity.
Well, thank you, because sometimes I watch the show without the sound, and It's the smiles, the expressions, I'm into this. It's like I'm alert, I'm listening, and that makes you more alive, being in the now, being alert, being energized, having people rooting you on and having all this validation. It goes a long way towards giving you a tailwind. So thank you so much, Enoch. Beverly.
Well, as usual, first of all, I love the topic. I always learn by coming here. Always, you talk, you listen, and you learn. You learn from the comments, you learn from the people. And the subject of change is wonderful because we all have to change. And so whether we're hit with a wake-up call or whether we just have to let go because of transitions in our life, we have to embrace it and accept it and go with it and make the best of everything that we have and just keep moving on. And I just encourage everybody to stay positive and to go with the falls and to keep picking yourself up, and you'll get there wherever there is. So thank you, Donald. It's always a pleasure. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Beverly. And it's always a pleasure to have you because it just demonstrates how much better we are together than we would have been by ourselves in this last hour. Because my mind wouldn't have shifted in so many ways. I wouldn't have reevaluated things that I took for granted. And, testing, everything needs to be tested after a while. I mean, just like a car, every 6,000 miles, you got to check certain things out or whatever. Every so often, you got to make sure, are you running as well as you can? Or can you optimize something? Can you make something a little more efficient? And the thing is, little changes over time become big changes, and taking little bits. And that's what a show like this every day is. You just got to get a little bit better, a little bit more aware, a little bit more defining as to how I use words, how I receive words, and how I judge before I understand all these things. So I think it's all for the good. I think people only get better. And when each of us gets better, the group gets better because everybody gets a little smarter, a little comfortable. And, it's confidence that really helps change, even if it's unknown change. If you're going in for a procedure or something and you never had, having the belief that everything will be okay, having the belief that you can handle whatever it is when it shows up. You may not be able to handle it before, but why should you? Right? You can't have yesterday, today, and tomorrow all at the same time. And give yourself some grace, give yourself some room and understand that one thing by itself shouldn't change everything in your life. Right? If it's a financial situation, just keep it in the finance category. Don't let it affect your relationships. Don't let it affect your self-esteem, because that's how you're going to be successful again, is to be better, like Enoch said, with the butterfly thing, right? This is my cocoon I'm struggling through, but imagine how beautiful I'll be and how well I'll fly and how many people will notice me, right? It's like, thank you for doing something I could have never done on my own, even though it was awful and terrible. But it did it, right? It's like Heimlich. It doesn't matter how many people punch in the stomach, as long as you can start breathing, you're okay at that point. So with that, thank you also. Without you, we wouldn't be who we are, and we couldn't all be who we became. So take change with a smile, move confidently forward, and come back and share with us how change is working for you. So with that, enjoy the rest of your day, be safe, and we'll be
Bye.
back tomorrow. Thank you so much, Beverly and Enoch.